with sports seats to put you in position to carve every corner. You give it an 8-speed Steptronic transmission with paddle shifters standard, and you make it near perfectly balanced to give you even more control of the road. But if you want to know how to catch up to a legend, sorry, can't help. The new BMW 3 Series. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Financing and leasing available by BMW Financial Services. Visit BMW of Eugene. Also online at bmwofeugene.com.
Spend an evening with James Taylor and his all-star band. The American icon is back on tour. Friday, July 15th, Matthew Knight Arena.
Whenever I see your smiling face, I have to smile.
The multiple Grammy Award-winning James Taylor. And a night full of his biggest hits.
I've seen fire and I've seen rain, and I'll be there, yeah. You've got a friend.
James Taylor. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at MatthewKnightarena.com. Friday, July 15th, Matthew Knight Arena. Spend the night with a friend. James Taylor. A Beaver production.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm in almost every school bus and classroom. You see me around the neighborhood, and you tell me that I'm a pretty good kid. Well, I'm 1 out of every 5 children in America, and I'm struggling with hunger. Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank for ways to help. Every dollar you donate helps provide 8 meals for kids like me. We are Feeding America, brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Spring arrives at the Lane County Home and Garden Show. Discover everything and everyone to create your dream home and yard. Tour our landscaper showcase, Gardens Gone Wild. Shop giant plant sales in the garden market. Dig it with our garden gurus. Learn from master gardeners. Meet trusted contractors. It's so easy with everything and everyone in one place. Don't miss spring's largest garden party. See what's new March 10th through the 13th at the fairgrounds. Admission is free. EugeneHomeshow.com. At this week's show, tour gardens in full bloom. Discover the 4-season Grillin' and Chillin' Landscape by Rexia Supply and Landscape Service. Explore Creekside in a Spring Garden by Graham Landscape and Design. Visit the expo halls to tour 80 more exhibits. Enjoy the Sweet Dreams Garden created by Birch's Landscaping Service. Tour the Looking Out My Back Door Garden from Camus Landscape Service. And shop our biggest plant sales ever. It's the Big Spring Show, sponsored by American Family Insurance. EugeneHomeshow.com.
Well, the triple choice sale is going on at Sleep Train mattress centers all over the area, Albany, Corvallis, Eugene, and Springfield. And they invite you to come on in, take the free test lay, and find a mattress that's going to work for you. And while you're maybe making that decision, you might be enticed by a couple of great deals, actually 3 of them, like saving $300 on Beauty Rest and Posturepedic mattress sets, or get $300 in free sleep essentials with any Tempur-Pedic, or get up to 4 years interest-free financing on Beauty Rest Black Hybrid. That's the mattress that's a Sleep Train luxury exclusive, and you'll get it on approved credit with up to 48 equal monthly payments required, and you can save hundreds on Tempur-Pedic Breeze floor models. So really it's like the 4-choice sale, but triple choice sounds better than the quad choice sale, which sounds more like
only thing better
motorized
than the mattresses, the people there. We'll bring them a muffin. In Eugene, Springfield, Corvallis, and Salem, and telling me like this with a wake-up call. It is your ticket to a better night's rest. Sleep Train.
Are you dying to get away from it all? Well, stop by Three Rivers Casino Resort because we can make your getaway dreams a reality. Now through April 16th, you can earn entries to win a dream vacation in our Choose Your Cruise giveaway. Cruise winners will be drawn every hour from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, April 16th. And while you try for one cruise, we have another cruise coming your way. That's right, this March at Three Rivers Casino Resort, we will be hosting the world-famous 70s and 80s pop rock phenomenon, Pablo Cruz. They'll be playing their greatest hits in Florence, March 25th and March 26th. Tickets are $19.99 and $24.99, and they're going fast. So reserve your seats now. Visit threeriverscasino.com for more details. We're in cruise control at Three Rivers Casino Resort because things are luckier here.
The Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
I'm Gary Conley with today's Money Minute. Recently I told you that as birth rates fall and people on average live longer, funding the retirement system gets tougher and tougher because there are fewer people working to support those who no longer can. This is referred to as the Old Age Dependency Ratio, or ODAR for short. 65 years ago, ODAR was about 5%, with 17 workers for each older dependent person. Now it's 33%, with just 3 workers for each retiree. Politicians seem unconcerned, at least publicly, apparently figuring the chickens will come home to roost on someone else's watch. Some promise more taxes and government spending, even though we're now borrowing about 30% of what we spend, and balance sheet debt is $19 trillion. Even using the perverse rules of government accounting. The true obligations are some multiple of that number. So with the economy slipping back toward recession, workforce participation continuing to slip, and new business creation, the ultimate source of new jobs, stalled, it's hard to see just how we're going to fund these programs for the rapidly growing number of older dependents. Here's the nugget. Immigration is a hot topic, and I suppose Trump's wall could create a bunch of construction jobs in the short run. But as you decide where to come down on this issue, give some serious thought to the aging of the population. I'm Gary Conley, and that's today's Money Minute.
News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield, USA.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. What Mitt Romney said didn't resonate. Donald Trump wins 3 more states.
I don't think I've ever had so many horrible, horrible things said about me in 1 week.
He won Hawaii, Michigan, and Mississippi, while Ted Cruz won Idaho, and he keeps telling Republicans he's the best anti-Trump option.
Hillary beats Trump and beats him badly.
But Trump extended his delegate lead. Marco Rubio got none last night. John Kasich took 17 delegates in Michigan. He vows to win Ohio next week, and then...
It's a new day in this presidential campaign.
But new CNN polls today have Trump leading in Ohio and ahead of Rubio by 16 points in Florida. Both are winner-take-all states next Tuesday. Bernie Sanders won in a Democrat upset in Michigan. Fox's Jeff Manasso live in Detroit.
Dave, it was a big night here last night for Bernie Sanders, despite all the polling that told us that Hillary Clinton would take Michigan.
State after state, what we have done is created the kind of momentum that we need to win. We believe that our strongest areas are yet to happen.
Hillary Clinton saying last night that she knows she's got work to do, particularly among young people in coming contests.
In fact, the future that I envision is going to take work from all of us.
Though on Clinton's side, Dave, remains her more than 2-1 lead over Sanders in the delegate count.
Jeff, an ISIS leader captured in Iraq. Iraqi intelligence officials say U.S. Special Forces got the head of the terrorist group's chemical weapons unit. This after a defense official told Fox U.S. airstrike in Syria last week killed a senior ISIS commander, most likely. In Baltimore... That cell phone video posted online has left 2 Baltimore schools police officers charged with assault. The video shows one slapping and kicking a teenager at a high school last week while the other stood by. There's heavy rain and flooding from Louisiana, where a nursing home had to be evacuated, to Texas and Oklahoma, where 2 people have drowned. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Don't miss Lorena McKennett, an evening of music and stories on Friday, March 25th at 8 p.m. for one performance only at the Holt Center for the Performing Arts in Eugene.
It was down by the sunny garden.
Lorena McKennett is joined on stage by her longtime collaborators Brian Hughes and Caroline Lavelle. For tickets, call or stop into the Holt Center ticket office or buy online anytime at holtcenter.org.
Welcome back to the Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch snuggling, ball chasing, face licking, and of course companionship. Now let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive, and now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance so common with this group.
But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
There is a rebound from yesterday's sell-off on Wall Street. Fox Business Network's Lori Rothman live at the New York Stock Exchange.
And Dave, yes, 30 minutes into the session, the Dow is up 51 points after falling more than 100 yesterday. Crude oil catching a bid this morning, rising about 1.7% at the moment in early trading. Now, today marks 7 years since the start of our current bull market. So far, the third longest in history since March 9th of 2009. The Dow is up 159%. Apple, leading the Dow, has climbed 750% in that time period. Speaking of Apple, looks like their next event will be held March 21st. Look for new versions of the iPhone, iPad, and accessories for the Apple Watch. Dave?
Lori mentioned oil. The price is over $37 a barrel again as gas rises another penny. AAA's national average for regular is $1.82 a gallon. He was the man who helped craft the Beatles' sound. Their producer, George Martin, has died.
Tributes have been pouring in for the man who produced some of the best-loved music in modern times, including the most popular Beatles hits.
I read the news today, oh boy.
He was pivotal in guiding the Beatles to global success. In a statement, Paul McCartney said George Martin was like a second father to me. And British Prime Minister David Cameron tweeted his tribute to a giant of music. Martin had over 50 number one hits in the US and Britain, won 6 Grammys, and was knighted in 1996. He also worked with a number of other successful performers in a career which spanned over 70 years. In London, Kitty Logan, Fox News.
Now, thousands are expected to say goodbyes to Nancy Reagan today and tomorrow at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. The funeral will be Friday. First Lady Michelle Obama, former First Lady Hillary Clinton will attend. Reagan will be buried alongside her husband. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
All right, News Radio 1120 KPNW 7:05. A little bit of light rain out there. Breezy conditions. High of 60 today. Wild and wet throughout the rest of the week into the weekend. 44 degrees with, I have to say, Jeff Galton, sales manager here at Bicoastal. You definitely get the award. I don't know. Do we have a shirt or maybe something from the Widmer cooler to give to you? Because I don't think we've ever had anybody come in to talk auction. You were ready in the 6 o'clock hour.
Well, you know what? Not only was I here early, I found a whole new respect for the two of you guys.
What?
Because of the job that you do and getting up so early in the morning and you're here so late in the afternoon that, well, a whole new respect for you, Rob, completely. You know, because...
As you should.
Right, because I never thought you did much to be good. But so it's a whole new respect now. But I'm happy to be here, and
he wants to
it
talk,
is awfully early in the morning.
Radio auction. He wants to talk, and he wanted to lead with jazzy ladies for some reason. Because
is that right?
That's what you told us off air. You wanted to start with
absolutely.
that.
I wanted to start with jazzy ladies.
Their home syrups are made in house. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite there?
I do. I have the organic maple is my favorite.
Wow, good stuff.
I know,
That's
right?
one of the
because I try to eat organic. I think it's very important when I'm eating at McDonald's that it's crafted here locally.
Does McDonald's do gluten-free?
No, they don't.
They do gluten-free?
No, they don't. But I don't think my wife's listening, so it's okay.
Because I know they do meat-free McNuggets. So
KPNW.com if you want to check out what the auction is all about and some of the things we'll be talking about Saturday morning, and even sign up to be a VIP.
Today's your last day to sign up as the auction VIP. So please, if that's what you want, which is so convenient, it's an opportunity for you and us to get all your information down early so that process when we're fielding thousands and thousands of calls on Saturday morning, it gives us an opportunity to get through as many calls as possible when we're only having to deal with a number as opposed to your name, your phone number, and all the other information we would have to get every time.
And it also saves you, and you being the person that maybe is calling in bidding, it saves you a whole bunch of time.
Sure.
And like he said, if we don't have your name and number in advance, if you do like 3 or 4 things, every time they're going to have to get all that information from you again. So, it's just going to help you out. It's going to make it faster, more efficient, and more fun.
It's a great time saver for both the consumer and for our operators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
our
auction consumer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So get your auction VIP, and if you don't feel comfortable with that, make sure you write down the Priority One hotline, which is the number to call Saturday morning, 541-345-0189. Where would you like to go? We talked about the Lou Glutz motor, the Impala last time, which is terrific.
Let's talk about, we've got some guns that are in there.
Sure. I have, we have guns from 3 different companies this time around. SM Guns has got that Mini Derringer in. Now that's, I took a call this week from a young woman who was looking for that exact piece and wanted to know if we were actually going to have it in auction. So apparently this is as you know, I'm a gun novice. I know nothing about guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little two-shot. What caliber is it? Is it the 45?
Well, Bill, let's take a look.
It
is the...
He built himself as a novice, so he doesn't
Bond Arms Mini Derringer 2.5 barrel shoots a 38.
Okay.
Or 357.
Oh, 57.
So all right.
It's a stainless barrel, synthetic gripped, compact, and perfect for the concealed carry purposes.
Is this a gun that Jim West used to fire?
Well, I don't know, to tell you the truth.
I don't think Jim West had that. Who was the other guy?
Artemis?
Artemis.
Artemis,
was the one
right.
that
In the
carried
sleeve, right?
Yeah.
Right? All right, so Oak Grove Guns is in with the Sig Sauer P28 M11 A19 millimeter. This is a semi-auto mid-sized pistol with a full-size grip that utilizes the familiar modified tilting block.
And he's not reading that, by the way.
Oh, no,
That's off the top of his head. He's able to do that. Sig Sauer, they are nice guns.
And then from Mizama, we have the Colt AR-22. So the Colt M4 carbine is a spot-on 22 LR replica of the current carbine version of the M16 machine gun.
Okay, just so you know, at this rate, we're not going to be able to talk about anything else if we're talking.
Basically, it's a 22 on an AR frame, and you see the things around. And 22s, once again, the ammunition is becoming available if you do your due diligence at Weimar and some of the other places. So it's a nice, and that would be a nice starter, plinker rifle, because that's not what you would call a self-defense kind of thing.
Right.
But so anyway, what else you got?
And then once you have the gun, you certainly need the targets. And so from Tannerite, we have these exploding targets,
nice
which
segue.
from what I understand is really kind of cool to see these things explode.
I was scared for a second where you were headed with that.
Where I was going with that? Yeah. No. All right, so new to the auction, Urban Lumber Company. Now, I don't know, are you familiar with Urban Lumber Company?
Vaguely, but I've heard good things.
Don't they cut down trees in like backyards and make toothpicks?
Not exactly, Bill. What they do is they take reclaimed wood, so wood that was it was going to be gone forever, no matter what, and turn it into these beautiful pieces of furniture, and they custom make that. So we have a $1,500 gift certificate that you can use to purchase anything that's already in store out in Springfield, or you can use it as an opportunity to custom make your own piece of furniture. It's terrific. They are artists. They were my client years ago. They are just artists, really great people. Also new, Willie's Lebanese Restaurant is in the auction. So
big fan.
Out on International Way, Willie and Moses do a terrific job. We eat there all the time. Bonnie and I really
I had my
like that.
50th birthday there. It was awesome.
How old?
Huh?
50? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You look good for 50.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So those are $25 gift
He's
certificates.
single,
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk after the show.
Absolutely. You play golf?
Badly.
Well, Sandpines is in the auction. See where I went with
wow. You're just a marketing machine with this auction.
That's the idea. That is why I'm here. What else can I tell you?
Well, I guess, KPNW.com, I think if anybody has a question, I mean, you're going to save a bunch of money, and we talk about multiple calls the VIP, saving you're going to see a couple more than one or two things that you're going to just fall in love with and have to have.
Well, it's a great opportunity for you to save a ton of money on products that you use, and some of these products you use almost every day.
Or maybe you haven't been able to afford to get out to.
Exactly. If you are in a position where you need, for instance, a new heating or air conditioning unit and the price is just beyond your reach, we have a couple from Priority One and as well from Pacific Air Comfort that gives you the opportunity to fix those things for you at a greatly reduced price.
And it's a great thing. You want to check the expiration dates, but if you want to give a gift to, maybe a student in the house or somebody, or just, maybe a door prize, like Restaurant Concepts, it's a gift certificate that you can use at any of their places. Mucho Gusto, Bill and Tim's, Dickie Joe's. Mm-hmm. That's a winner right there.
Right. And we fortunately this time around we have a ton of restaurant certificates, which is really great. And also, if we're looking for that last minute thing and you're not sure what you want to do, but you want to go have some fun before the snow melts, we do have some Hoodoo night lift passes. Ooh. So that's kind of time sensitive, but we know we're getting a ton of snow up there right now. So if you wanted to do that, the Hoodoo's night lift passes will be available.
I missed that. All right. KPNW.com. Check out the list. Jeff, thank you.
Thank you.
News coming up. Stand by. It's 11:20 KPNW.
Hi, I'm Bill London, Burrito Amigo's biggest fan, and here's a true food story. One day after the wake-up call, one of our staff members walked into the studio, fully admitting she had not visited Burrito Amigo's and had ordered a beef breakfast burrito without a tortilla in a bowl. The phrase, "What is this stuff?" in a continuous chorus ensued. The consensus was that whatever was supposed to be in that burrito looked more like something pulled out of a clogged garbage disposal. Now, we could only identify egg. We think. We took pictures. Then another employee pointed out, with Burrito Amigos, when you bite into or open up a burrito, you can actually identify all the ingredients by sight. The Angus beef in the Machaca burrito looks like beef. The bacon is easily identifiable in the bacon burritos, along with the eggs and potatoes and peppers and everything else. Burrito Amigos serves real food that you can identify by sight and enjoy. Food should not be scary. It should be real, like at Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones in Eugene and Springfield.
Oregon restricts hunting in spring to let animal populations recover from winter and raise their young. But spring is still a good time to get outdoors and hunt cougar, black bear, and turkey, along with a lot of small game, including coyotes and skunks. Skunks? Who wants to hunt skunks? Well, whatever you go for, check the regs first. Get your tags and head to Oak Grove Guns for your gear and ammunition. Oak Grove carries all the major brands, plus used firearms, and they take trades. Oak Grove Guns, proud to supply products to responsible gun owners.
Ramjack has your foundation solution. Ramjack can fix that. CCB 146906.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. I feel like I'm choking.
Prevent your child's next asthma attack. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many.
I feel like a fish with no water.
Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
Local news, local people. Wake-up call on News Radio 1120. KPNW.
Good morning. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. New details about the investigation into the fatal officer-involved shooting of Lavoy Finicum during the arrests of militia members on January 26th. They say 6 shots were fired by Oregon State Police troopers and 2 by the FBI. Now, more on those last 2 shots in a moment. All of the OSP shots were determined to be justified. Deschutes County Sheriff Shane Nelson says that when Finicum was shot, he tried to reach for a gun under his coat twice without officers firing their guns. They repeated commands that he get on the ground.
In the midst of that command, Mr. Finicum grabs his jacket with his left hand and again reaches with his right hand into the area of his jacket where his gun was found. Video from inside the truck was being recorded by Shauna Cox, where Finicum is heard telling police to shoot him.
Stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down. Shoot me. You have to shoot me. Are they shooting him?
A photo was released of the loaded gun that was under Finicum's jacket. A separate investigation is also underway.
Of particular concern to all of us is that the FBI HRT operators did not disclose their shots to our investigators.
That discovery was made after investigators couldn't account for extra rounds not fired by Oregon State police officers that hit inside the truck.
The failure by HRT operators to disclose that they fired shots during this contact and actions they took after the shooting are the subject of an ongoing investigation.
Now keep in mind, those same HRT operators, which stands for Hostage Release Team, were questioned on 2 separate occasions regarding that shooting, and neither time did any of those HRT agents say anything about shooting. No one that we know of was hit by those shots, but a federal inquiry is underway into the agents' actions. Well, the discovery that the FBI covered up their part in the shooting of Lavoy Finicum has fired up the defense team for Ammon Bundy.
I was literally floored when I heard that. I found it unbelievable. I found it shocking, and I was just in disbelief.
After the surrender of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge by Ammon Bundy and his group, attorney Mike Arnold asked for Bundy or his representatives to be present during the collection of evidence, and they were refused by the court.
Well, this calls into question everything. When you have the government investigating government protesters, and then those investigators covering up what they did in the investigation, and then you have the government investigating the cover-up of the folks in the government, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, this is just unfathomable.
And today, Bundy is scheduled in court for what is now becoming a somewhat ironic hearing.
We're going to be talking about a protective order that was requested by the government. They want to keep all police reports, discovery, everything secret. They don't want our client to be able to release that information to the public. And apparently, as we learned today, the federal government only wants to release things that they pick and choose.
Regardless of how the FBI cover-up investigation proceeds, it's changed the tenor of the defense.
The next thing I have to do is go back and look at all my emails and phone calls from what I consider to be conspiracy theories from supporters of my client when they were claiming FBI cover-ups and FBI misconduct, and I'm going to have to go back and look at that over again with a different perspective now.
So far, Bundy et al. Have been charged with only a single count of conspiracy, although more charges are expected within the month. Lane County's unemployment rate took another dip, this time into territory not seen in 9 years. According to the numbers released yesterday, Lane County's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate was 5%, the lowest since 2007. Last January, it was at 6.3%. According to Brian Rooney, Employment Department economist, it's the best time right now to find a job since the recession. Manufacturing locally added 400 jobs, healthcare 600, business and professional services led the way with 1,600 jobs. Rooney says he expects moderate growth in the coming months. Oregon Governor Kate Brown has signed a bill that supports small businesses across Oregon. Brad Ford says Oregon has been called a superior bet for investors.
Bloomberg reports that Oregon has the best performing economy in the country, and Governor Brown says Oregon entrepreneurs and investors help foster an economy that encourages growth and attracts talent.
When it came to employment, personal income, and the equity of its publicly traded companies, little old Oregon is leading the pack.
The Small Business Advisory Cabinet talked about how small businesses can grow. There are 3 main issues:
access to capital, the state's role in promoting entrepreneurship, and third, regulatory challenges that are specific to small businesses.
Brown's hoping the cabinet will bring recommendations by mid-October so the ideas can be considered for the 2017 legislative session. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
Governor Kate Brown has officially placed herself in the running for Oregon's gubernatorial election. It's not a big surprise, but she waited until yesterday to file the paperwork, and it was the last day to do so for most major elected offices in the state. Former Secretary of State took over from John Kitzhaber. just over a year ago after he stepped down amid an influence peddling scandal. Brown faces 4 little-known Democratic rivals in the May 17th primary. 1 independent and 4 Republicans are also running for the position. The GOP candidates include failed former Oregon Republican Party Chairman Alan Alley, along with Bud Pierce, an oncologist from Salem. Oregonians haven't elected a GOP governor since 1982, and no Republican has taken a statewide race since 2002. In local Lane County races, Republican Joe Patwara filed yesterday to take on Democratic incumbent Representative Phil Barnhart for District 11. No new competitors, by the way, filed for vacated House District Seat 14, formerly held by Val Hoyle. Democrats Julie Fahey and James Manning want to vie off with either Republican Aaron Cluett or Kathy Lamberg in the fall for Hoyle's seat. In other races, Art Robinson has yet again decided to run against Congressman Peter DeFazio in the 4th Congressional District, although the 2-time unsuccessful challenger is going to have to get past Joe Ray Perkins, who also wants to run against DeFazio. As for the primary, for the first time in many years, DeFazio will be challenged by a Democrat, car leasing business owner Joseph McKinney. Well, if you get a call from the Oregon State Treasurer demanding you pay back taxes, ignore it. Brad Ford says it's a scam.
The Oregon State Treasurer's Office has received several calls saying the person claimed to be from the State Treasurer's Office and demanded that they owe taxes and need to pay up immediately. The first tip: this is a scam. The State Treasurer doesn't collect taxes. That's the Oregon Department of Revenue. This is similar to a scam where callers pretended to be from the IRS. You can hang up on the caller. It's fake. You wouldn't be contacted over the phone by the Oregon Department of Revenue or the IRS. Brad Ford, KPNW.
Less than 6 months after the worst mass shooting in state history, Oregon lawmakers faced a $17.6 million decision. During the short February session, lawmakers approved $6 million for Umpqua Community College to renovate Snyder Hall. That's where 9 students were shot and killed. They also were to spend the money to improve the school's safety and security measures following the October 1st massacre. But a separate $17.6 million request to replace doors, add security cameras, and beef up aging buildings and communication systems at the state's other 16 community colleges went absolutely nowhere. And finally, the bigger the fish, the more fun they are to catch. Brad Ford says that's why more trophy trout are headed for certain Oregon lakes.
The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife wants to energize trout fishing at 5 lakes in Oregon by stocking trophy-sized trout.
Hopefully it will generate a little excitement about these fisheries.
Rick Swart says those trout weigh between 1 and 3 pounds. They're stocking those fish over the next 3 months. They're going in Garrison Lake, Trojan Pond, Willow Creek Reservoir, Timothy Lake, and Phillips Reservoir.
It's something that we plan to expand on next year.
The Trophy Trout Program was established under a directive from last year's legislative session led by Representative Greg Smith from Heppner. Brad Ford, KPNW.
Let's look at the news brought to you live and local by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. You're up to date from KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Pac-12 men's basketball tournament gets underway in a few hours from Vegas. 9-seeded Stanford will play an 8-seed Washington at noon for a chance to play tomorrow against our number 1-seeded Oregon Ducks. Sophomore forward Dylan Brooks named the U.S. Basketball Writers Association District 9 Player of the Year. Coach Dana Altman, the district's Coach of the Year. 6A girls basketball in the quarterfinals tonight. 6A Sheldon faces number 3 Tigard in Portland. Tomorrow night, 2-time defending state 4A champs Sutherland with Casey Mock plays a 2nd-seeded Banks. Go Bulldogs. Wake Up Call Sports on KPNW, brought to you by Max Muscle, the authority in sports nutrition since 1991, across Franklin Boulevard for Market of Choice. News time, 7:26.
KPNW weather, brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, you're already out and about. We've got light to moderate showers as a warm front's moving through the area. That means temps right now are in the mid to low 40s. Not that bad, but a little wet. Winds out of the south at 5 to 10 and under mostly cloudy skies. skies. This afternoon will actually stay fairly dry as the warm front will lift to the north and the cold front won't arrive till later tonight. That means mostly cloudy skies will continue. Highs look to be in the mid-50s out there to upper 50s. Winds will pick up in the afternoon out of the south at 15 to 20 with extremely strong winds along the coastal cities. We could see winds there of 30 to 40 miles an hour with gusts up to 50. And we've got a storm warning out over the water for the storm system pushing through the night. Storms will be back by 10 o'clock tonight, maybe even a couple of claps of thunder. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Hi, everybody. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute, sponsored by Eugene's #1 electrical contractor, Builders Electric. Are you a person who can bear pain or trials calmly or without complaint? Or are you one that has to be hasty with everything? Are you quiet and calm, but everybody else is in a hurry? Well, George Eliot, in all her wonderful writings, reminded us with this: it's easy finding reasons why others should be patient. Well, how true. Sometimes in our hurry to get through things, we find ourselves telling others to slow down. And slowing down never really hurt anyone, so try a little patience today. You know, it's actually quite relaxing. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a positive day.
This Motivational Minute was brought to you by Builders Electric, providing honest, reliable, and positive contracting throughout the Willamette Valley since 1960. That's Builders Electric, CC number 4296.
The Wake Up Call. Wake Up Call. On 1120. KPNW.
You guys just going to hang around the homestead, or are you actually going to go out and do something? News Radio 1120 KPNW. Welcome to the Wake Up Call. It is a Wednesday edition. Joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning, live and direct from...
My girlfriend for the first time.
Your what?
Bringing my son's girlfriend for the first time.
You're bringing your son's girlfriend for the first time. We just caught Lise in the middle of a conversation here. We're on the air, Lise.
Oh, we're on the air? Oh,
now we're on the air, yeah. No, that's okay.
We can't do that on the air.
He did it too, so it's okay.
So we were just babbling, anyway. Well, thanks for joining us. Lise Wheel, by the way, author extraordinaire. She is also a Fox News legal analyst, and she joins us on Wednesdays for a chat about all things legalese. And the reason that we're talking about all this other stuff is because Lise also happens to be from the Pacific Northwest, specifically Yakima. So, anyway.
Hello there. Yeah, hey.
Hey. Well, I'm glad that you've already got your tickets and you're going to be coming out to the Pacific Northwest this summer. That's awesome.
I come out every summer, of course. Are you kidding me?
Awesome. All right, so let's just get into it. I find this interesting. The Supreme Court is going to decide on marijuana legalization, at least in terms of Colorado. I find it interesting that the case was brought, though, by Nebraska and Oklahoma. How does this work?
Well, see, they may or may not decide on it. And the reason it's brought by the neighboring states is because the neighboring states are saying, wait a second, Colorado, okay, we know it's legal in your state. Hey, but it's bugging us because you guys are, they're getting it in Colorado, but they're taking it out. In fact, Oregon would be an perfect example. They're taking it out and bringing it out of state from Colorado, and they're bringing it to our state, and we're having problems with it in our state. And you guys can make the same example and say, hey, it's illegal in Washington, but they're bringing it to Oregon and creating all kinds of havoc. That would be the example.
Well, but Oregon, actually, it's legal in Oregon, both medicinal and recreational. So Idaho would be
well. Idaho is a different. See, Idaho is funny though because Idaho, it's legal. Drinking is legal at what, 19?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So Idaho is kind of a funny thing because Idaho would fight back and say, well, or Washington fight, well, but you guys have a lower drinking. I mean, yeah. I don't know. So I'm getting into local politics there. I have no idea what but it would be kind of funny. You see what I'm saying, though?
Right.
That the neighboring states here in Colorado are saying, wait, you're taking your pot out and it's coming into our state, and it's not good here.
So now they haven't actually decided or aren't going to hear the case necessarily. They're deciding whether they're going to hear the case.
And it's going to be a little bit more difficult because of Justice Scalia's passing. So,
yeah, but doesn't it only require 4 votes?
It does. It does.
Okay.
So we'll see. It's a very interesting kind of legal, like whether the Supreme Court will hear it or not.
Okay, so I guess my question to you would be, as the legalese individual, have states sued other states over any issues akin to this? I mean, and I don't know if there are any other analogies that one can use, but I mean, how often has this thing like this happened in the past?
Well, yes and no. States have sued when they've lost money or been hurt by other states' laws. Trying to think of a good example. I can't think of one right off the top of my head that if when another state has been hurt financially.
This could be considered. I mean, if you think about it that way, I mean, you could consider it a financial hardship if you're spending more money on law enforcement to, bust up folks that are selling pot illegally in those states. I can see where you could make the argument, look, this is costing us tax dollars.
Right.
How do you think it's? I mean, do you think that the Supreme Court is set to potentially look at this?
Right now, I would say that they probably. My guess is the Supreme Court is going to say, we don't have standing yet. That the plaintiffs can't show that there's a positive decision in their favor at this point. That's my guess, but I could be wrong. I'm saying that, I just don't think that there's really enough standing here for them to say that there's enough financial hardship. I could be wrong, but the other problem, too, right now is that there's a conflict, and this is where I think the bigger conflict is, that there is a federal law on the books that says marijuana is illegal, period. And yet the feds don't uphold their own law. So how can you have on the books a federal law that says marijuana is illegal, period, and it's not upheld? Now, when I was a federal prosecutor back way in the day there in Seattle, when I was a baby prosecutor, the very first thing they had you do, because you couldn't really screw it up because it was so easy, was to do the marijuana cases that came across the border there in Canada. Any kind of
smuggling.
Yeah, exactly. Anything. You would just take those. A little ounce, like the tiniest little thing. You would just take it, and it was nothing, you just paid a little fine, and that was it. I couldn't believe I was taking those cases. I'm a big federal prosecutor, and I'm taking those cases, but you did. And you had them, and it was one day a week you would just take those cases. And we did those cases, maybe 30, 40 people one day a week. And it was kind of ridiculous, but you did those as a federal prosecutor, and now they're not doing any of those. But that is still the law on the books. Wow.
Yeah, my question on that particular law is, is it going to be one of these things that is changed due to legislative action, or whether it finally ends up, in federal court and potentially in front of the Supreme Court, and it's decided there?
It's still on the books. I mean, that is still on the books. It's not prosecuted anymore, but it's still on the books.
Can you compel through a court, proceeding to have a particular law enforced?
Well, it's still on the books, so the Congress would have to say, no, that's not a law anymore. Congress would have to take it off.
But what I'm saying is, if it's not being enforced by the DOJ, the feds are not enforcing it.
Right,
Can a state, for instance, go to, say, the Supreme Court or in federal court and say, you know what, we want the laws that are on the books actually enforced, and that includes the drug laws?
States have said that for years. And the DOJ sends out policy after policy saying, we're not going to enforce that.
But what I'm saying is, could it be something that could be taken into a courtroom, and through, the Supreme Court justices, could the DOJ be compelled to actually go out and start enforcing those laws? That's what I'm asking.
But that's not happened. I mean, the no tolerance laws have, when I was a prosecutor, again, we had to go do them. But after that, DOJ sent out memo after memo saying, we're not going to do those anymore. don't do them anymore. So, of course they can be compelled, but they haven't been in years. So the simplest thing is to do for Congress, if they don't want them, just take them off the books. But right now, they're not. So you've got this weird sort of, quagmire where state after state is saying, okay, they're legal, but on the books still, marijuana is illegal federally. And isn't federal law supposed to trump state law? Yes, of course. So it really doesn't make any sense. And so you try then to go to the Supreme Court to have the Supreme Court rule against against state law. It doesn't make sense at all.
All right. Hey, Lise, we're going to have to let you go. Thanks for joining us on the Wake Up Call. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
You got it. Take care. Be
All
good.
Right. You too. Bye-bye. News Radio 1120 KPNW at 737.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Oil is rallying up more than 2% to $37.23 a barrel, and that's helping to push stocks a little higher. The Dow up 32 points, the Nasdaq up 3, and the S&P up 4. Which way are the winds blowing in energy? This might give you an idea. The Energy Information Administration expects U.S. crude oil production to fall next year to its lowest level since 2013, and solar energy companies are on pace to more than double this year, thanks to falling equipment prices and federal tax benefits, according to a trade group. One major oil and natural gas company is betting on it. Statoil of Norway is going to invest $3 million in a U.S.-based company that puts up small wind turbines. He set the pace for online retailing at Amazon. He owns the Washington Post. Now Jeff Bezos wants to go where no one has gone before. He says his private space travel company Blue Origin expects to make its first test flights next year. I'm Adrienne Mitchell, Bloomberg Radio.
Having trouble with those last few pounds? Or maybe you just need a boost of energy. Get to Max Muscle 4 Emerge. The taste is awesome, there's tons of flavors, and it's buy one, get one half off during the month of March. It's only at Max Muscle, 2001 Franklin Boulevard in Eugene.
Pacific Continental Bank is proud to call the Eugene-Springfield area home for more than 40 years. As your local banker, partner, and neighbor, we are committed to the health and sustainability of your business and our community. We know it takes more than a loan or deposit to help you succeed. It takes people who know you, your business, and your community. Who says we can't be more than a bank? Pacific Continental Bank, the right bank. Learn more at therightbank.com. Member FDIC.
Ramjack leads the way in foundation repair. Protect your investment. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com. Check out our exceptional online reviews, then choose Ramjack.
CCB 146906.
If you've dreamed of owning an RV, let the RV Corral help make those dreams come true. The RV Corral is Eugene's largest RV dealer, Lane County's only Winnebago dealer for motorhomes and lightweight travel trailers. Over 200 new and pre-owned motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and campers. All Class A and C motorhomes are on sale now. With local owners for 28 years and all local employees, the RV Corral will be there to help you make your RV dreams come true. Easy to find on Highway 99, 1 mile south of Beltline. Buy anywhere else, you'll pay too much.
Built for business. In business, time is money. And business money is also money. No wonder nearly 1,000 businesses choose Comcast Business Internet over DSL from the phone company every single day. Not only is it up to 5 times faster, it's actually a better value when you go with the fastest plan. So take a minute out of your busy schedule and call Comcast Business. It will be well worth your time and your money.
Switch to Comcast Business Internet. Then add voice and TV for just $34.90 a month. And ask about our 2-year price guarantee. Call 800-501-6000 or visit ComcastBusiness.com. Comcast Business. Built for business. Offer ends 5/31/16. Restrictions apply. Limited to one voice line and private view TV for new customers. 2-year contract required. Requires Comcast Business Internet and an additional monthly charge. Equipment taxes and fees, including broadcast TV fee extra. Savings claim based on cost per megabits per second. Compares Comcast 100 megabits per second and 20 megabits per second DSL downloads.
Hi, this is Bill London, and I can tell you from experience, dealing with a realtor can be a trying experience. Trying to sell my mom and dad's house recently, I would have liked to have had a realtor who up front would have told me not necessarily what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear. Like, for instance, that we really did need to put a new roof on the house. Otherwise, we were going to get beaten down on the price and some other things as well. Well, Eric Harpole is one of those realtors. He won't tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear to get the most out of your house.
I think when you sit down with Eric or anybody from his team, it's quickly apparent. I mean, they're serious. They know real estate, and they're not into filling the air with things that aren't true. Whether you're buying or selling or even thinking about doing either of those two, call the Harpole team at 541-286-3030. It will be the most refreshing conversation you ever had with a realtor. The Harpole Real Estate Group is changing the way real estate gets done here locally. 541-286-3030.
Northwest Burger inside the 5th Street Market features burgers so amazing they're an experience all their own. Freshly ground meat and local produce combined with the creativity of local chef Garrett Kirsch makes for a burger experience like no other. You'll get mouth-watering goodness in every single bite. Check out their menu and photos on Facebook. Northwest Burger, located in the 5th Street Market. It's not just a burger, it's an experience.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out in the next few minutes, we've got light to moderate showers off and on out there as a warm front spreading over the area. Temps right now are in the mid to low 40s with light winds out of the south at 5 to 10 under mostly cloudy skies. Now this afternoon will actually stay fairly dry as the warm front will lift to the north up into Washington state. The storm system itself won't arrive until late this evening into the overnight hours, and we will see mostly cloudy skies this afternoon with highs in the mid-50s. Winds will pick up out of the south at 15 to 20. Some gusts could be as high as 30, and we could see a few isolated showers developing after 10 p.m., maybe even a thunderstorm. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Local news, local people, Holloway in London, and the wake-up call.
I want you to get up now.
On News Radio 1120, KPNW.
7:43. All right, so normally in the 6 o'clock hour, we kind of tee it up on the national political thing. This morning, a little bit different. So, in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to tee it up on yesterday's primaries. Joining us to chat about it, and yes, last night's and yesterday's results, David Avella is GOPAC chair, and he joins us on the wake-up call. David, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Good morning.
All right, so, I don't know. I mean, the two stories here really, well, maybe three. Bernie pulls the upset in Michigan over Hillary. Trump has some pretty easy victories in 4 states. Cruz walks away with Idaho, and, you know, the bad news for Rubio is he looks pretty, shall we say, lame at this point.
Folks at the Clinton headquarters must be bashing their heads against the wall. Not because they're going to lose to Bernie Sanders. They're not. I mean, the books are cooked with the Democratic superdelegates that she will be the nominee.
Right.
But they've got to be very concerned about what this foreshadows for the general election. That when Hillary Clinton isn't winning blue-collar, Midwest states, it gives Republicans an opportunity to draw a new map for the general elections and compete in states that we haven't competed with in competitively for years. That's the Democratic side.
Okay.
On the Republican side, Donald Trump is the front runner. He strengthened his position as the front runner, and today I would offer to you and put out there that Republicans like two things. Well, we like one thing, we don't like another. One, we like front runners. We have always nominated our front runner in recent history. And two, we don't like ambiguity. And that we haven't had a contested brokered convention since 1952. And that the path we're on is Donald Trump will be our nominee.
Okay, so let's back up to Hillary for a second, and a quick question there. Even though the Democrats are not necessarily coming out in droves, particularly in those blue-collar states, to vote for Hillary, does that really mean, though, that when we get into the general election and Hillary being the presumptive Democratic nominee, that between a Democrat and a Republican that they still wouldn't opt for Hillary, even though they didn't vote for her necessarily in the primary?
There are a number of indications. It's a good question, though. There are a number of indications as to there are many Democrats moving over to vote for Republicans in states where every state has had record turnout in the Republican primary. But in states where Democrats and independents are allowed to vote in the Republican primary, there has been huge numbers, unlike what we have seen ever, of Democrats coming and voting in the Republican primary. Another anecdotal, 20,000 Democrats in Massachusetts switched parties to vote in the Republican primary. And I would offer to you that that is not an organized effort to cause chaos in the Republican primary. Average voters don't think that way. They come and vote in the Republican primary because one of the candidates appeals to them, and they're switching to vote for them. This primary season has to be concerning to the Clinton campaign.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about Trump. One of the analyses that has been made is that Trump, part of Trump's success is based on kind of splitting the vote, with a strong third of Republicans, regardless of what he says or does, are going to vote for Trump regardless, and that the more contestants in that particular race, the better off Trump is. With Rubio likely gone after yesterday's bad showing, if Kasich calls it in, does that change the whole flavor of the race if it just comes down to a mano-a-mano, Cruz versus Trump?
Well, that is the narrative and hope of the Cruz campaign.
No, I know it is. And
so the election results would suggest the opposite, which is as candidates have dropped out, Trump maybe hasn't gotten the majority of those supporters, but he has gotten a portion of those.
Right.
That where in the early Republican nominating contest, Trump got 25, 26, 27% of the vote. You look at last night, he got near 50% in Mississippi. He got mid-30s in Michigan and in Hawaii last night. I mean, there is no substitute for victory. And people want to support a winner. And so even if he wasn't your first choice coming into this whole process, people don't want to throw their vote away. In fact, the most common line I hear about John Kasich is, wow, I like him, wow, he makes sense, but I can't throw my vote away. And that's what happens when you come in third and fourth consistently in early contests.
Do you think head-to-head, I know what your answer is going to be, because obviously, you have a horse in the race here. How well does Trump really square up against Hillary? At least the talking point so far, and a lot of the polling has shown that in the fall, if it's Hillary versus Trump, Hillary wins. Do you think that, assuming that there's not another bombshell with the Department of Justice or an indictment or something like that, let's just say things stay as they are, Hillary versus Trump, who wins?
General election polling right now is as valuable as an ice maker is in the North Pole. And that as we get closer and closer to the election, voters have a choice between two candidates. And by her own words, Hillary Clinton has said, I will be a third term of the policies pushed by President Obama. A view that the overwhelming majority of Americans say they don't want to continue. And so it does give Donald Trump an opening, but there is no rosy glasses here. The media may be giving Mr. Trump his honeymoon right now, but once he becomes the nominee, as we always see with the mainstream media, they're going to be going after him and presenting everything they can to voters that may suggest maybe he's not the person we thought he was. And it's going to be up to him and up to his campaign and up to the party, because as the chairman of the Republican National Committee got on the debate stage and said, we are unambiguously going to support our nominee, whoever that is, if it's Mr. Trump. We're all in this to make sure we win.
Well, David, I think there's a lot of people that are paused on your question, saying that Trump is having a honeymoon with the mainstream media, and would say, "Are you kidding? Really? They have been literally lambasting Trump from pretty much the very beginning." And you're saying this is a honeymoon? How much worse can it actually get?
Well, Mr. Trump has enjoyed more earned media than all the other candidates combined. Now, he has said things that has made him newsworthy, and that's why he has done a good job at getting earned media. But you've followed politics quite a while, as I have. You've seen what the mainstream media tries to do to a Republican nominee in the general election. And I would just offer to you, if the media has used kid gloves compared to what they're going to do to whoever our nominee is, and particularly to Mr. Trump.
All right. Hey, David, we appreciate you joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning. Thanks for the perspective.
Thank you.
All right. You take care. David Avella on News Radio 1120 KPNW, the GOPAC chairman. Okay, Rob, maybe I'm reading things differently. Do you think that it's been a honeymoon with the mainstream media and Trump at this point? I mean, maybe it's just the use of the word honeymoon that I'm chafing at, but do you think it's been a honeymoon and they've been, oh, it's Donald Trump and he's wonderful?
I don't know that they're saying he's wonderful necessarily, but they are covering him incessantly. I mean,
they're covering him incessantly,
he's the news story.
But do you
he's
think...
going to be the,
Okay, but...
I think just recently, I feel like in the last couple of weeks, it started to, you see it more on social media. The venom has kind of hit a zenith, a peak. Well, I don't think it's peaked, but it's definitely warming up. All right, we get a break. 7:53, hour number 3 coming up on 1120 KPNW.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call,
the one means no matter what the problem.
From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7.
Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's locally supported by Mitsubishi Electric. So their Mitsubishi Electric factory-trained technicians will ready your house for any season.
Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort, the one to call.
Spring arrives at the Lane County Home and Garden Show. Discover everything and everyone to create your dream home and yard. Tour our landscaper showcase. Gardens Gone Wild. Dig it with our garden gurus. Shop plant sales in the garden market. Win a garden shed built by Quality Woodcraft or a big green egg from Emerald Hearth Spa and Patio. Sponsored by KZI9. You're invited to the Giant Garden Party, March 10th through the 13th at the fairgrounds. Admission is free. EugeneHomeshow.com. This week's show presents over 300 exhibits for your home and yard. Meet the remodelers who renovate bathrooms and kitchens, build beautiful sunrooms, patio covers, and gorgeous decking. Meet the experts who install new windows, garage doors, fireplaces, and heat systems. Meet the best builders, cabinet makers, painters, and handymen. Landscape pros that build ponds and backyard kitchens. Learn how to at home and garden seminars. Explore over 3 acres of exhibits at this week's Big Spring Show. Sponsored by American Family Insurance. EugeneHomeshow.com.
Don't miss Lorena McKenna, an evening of music and stories on Friday, March 25th at 8 p.m. for one performance only at the Holt Center for the Performing Arts in Eugene.
It was down by the sunny gardens.
Lorena McKenna is joined on stage by her longtime collaborators Brian Hughes and Caroline Lavelle. For tickets, call or stop into the Holt Center ticket office or buy online anytime at holtcenter.org.
Holloway in London. Your Infomaniacs on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
I'm Gary Conley with today's Money Minute. Recently I told you that as birth rates fall and people on average live longer, funding the retirement system gets tougher and tougher because there are fewer people working to support those who no longer can. This is referred to as the Old Age Dependency Ratio, or ODAR for short. 65 years ago, ODAR was about 5%, with 17 workers for each older dependent person. Now it's 33%, with just 3 workers for each retiree. Politicians seem unconcerned, at least publicly, apparently figuring the chickens will come home to roost on someone else's watch. Some promise more taxes and government spending, even though we're now borrowing about 30% of what we spend, and balance sheet debt is $19 trillion, even using the perverse rules of government accounting. The true obligations are some multiple of that number. So with the economy slipping back toward recession, workforce participation continuing to slip, and new business creation, the ultimate source of new jobs, stalled, it's hard to see just how we're going to fund these programs for the rapidly growing number of older dependents. Here's the nugget. Immigration is a hot topic, and I suppose Trump's wall could create a bunch of construction jobs in the short run. But as you decide where to come down on this issue, give some serious thought to the aging of the population. I'm Gary Conley, and that's today's Money Minute.
Hey, hon, do me a favor and hold the ladder for me.
I have a better idea. Let's just call somebody to clean the gutters.
To scoop out a few leaves? Come on, I'll be down in a heartbeat.
No!
Using a ladder might seem easy. Misusing one is even easier. For tips on ladder safety, visit orthoinfo.org, a public service message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, who want to keep your bones safe, strong, and well-connected.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Happy birthday, bull market. Wall Street's rise from the ashes of the financial collapse turns 7 years old today. At its height last May, the S&P 500 had gained 215% from its low. Since then, we have slipped, but nowhere near the 20% fall that signals the end of a bull market. Historically, 7 years is a long time for a bull. It's about 2 years longer than average and the third longest in history. Following losses for Wall Street Tuesday, stocks are moving higher. The Dow up 62 points, the Nasdaq up 21, and the S&P up 10. The most interesting man in the world
His only regret is not knowing what regret feels like.
Is taking off on a one-way trip to Mars. That's how Heineken's Dos Equis brand is ending the decade-long ad campaign, or its relationship with the actor. A new and perhaps younger actor is taking on the role. I'm Adrienne Mitchell, Bloomberg Radio.
I've just about had it with President Obama playing favorites when it comes to the death of prominent people. I'm Lars Larson with the Northwest Report's commentary in just a moment. Have you ever thought about all the money you spend at the pharmacy buying a shaver, and it's just a cheap piece of plastic? Harry's.com was started by two guys passionate about creating a better shaving experience. They bought a blade factory in Germany. They turn out the best blades, and the starter kit, $15, and it's delivered to your house, and delivery is free. Go to Harry's.com right now. Enter my code name Lars in the promo box. $5 off your first order. Enter my code name Lars for $5 off your first order. That's Harry's.com. Change the way you shave forever. When Nelson Mandela died in South Africa, President Obama, on short notice, flew around the planet to attend his funeral. The president or his surrogates have attended all kinds of funerals and memorials all over America. But when Antonin Scalia, the conservative and very respected Supreme Court justice, died, President Obama didn't have time for it. And now the former First Lady, Nancy Reagan, has passed away on Sunday, and the president won't attend her funeral. And why? Does he have an important summit to attend? No. He's giving the keynote address at a music festival called South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. Remember when the president once spoke disparagingly of his own grandmother as just a typical white woman? I wonder if he feels the same way about Nancy Reagan. For Northwest Report,
We report, you decide. This is News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield, USA.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. After winning 3 more states, Hawaii, Michigan, and Mississippi, Donald Trump is calling for unity.
If everybody came together, nobody could beat the Republican Party. We would walk into Washington.
But that's not happening. Instead, one of the Republicans who's dropped out of the race, Carly Fiorina, is now this morning backing a Trump rival.
The one man who can beat Donald Trump, who can beat Hillary Clinton, who can beat the D.C. cartel. It is time to unite behind Ted Cruz.
Carly Fiorina Arena endorsing Cruz in Miami. Cruz won Idaho last night, his 7th victory. John Kasich is pinning his hopes on winning Ohio. Marco Rubio is taking his future on Florida, but new CNN polls today give Trump leads in both states. Bernie Sanders, fresh off his Michigan upset last night, says,
"What we have done is created the kind of momentum that we need to win."
But he is still way behind Hillary Clinton. Fox's Jared Halpern has a new delegate update in both races, live from Washington.
And Donald Trump secured nearly half of all of the delegates doled out in last night's 4 Republican contests, 71 more for the front-runner, bringing his total, as projected by the AP, to 458. To clinch the nomination and avoid a contested convention in July, a candidate needs to win at least 1,237 delegates, a task that could become easier next week as some states become winner-take-all, including delegate-rich Florida and Ohio. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders split last night's primaries in Michigan and Mississippi, though Clinton won the delegate count for the night, about now more than halfway to the tally she needs to clinch her party's nomination. Dave.
Jared, in Seattle, an explosion with a natural gas leak injured 9 firefighters. They're none seriously. Another problem at a Chipotle. One of its restaurants is closed in Billerica, Massachusetts, after 4 employees got sick. No customers have reported feeling ill. Following norovirus and E. coli outbreaks at a series of Chipotle locations nationwide. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This tip of the week brought to you by Neurospine Institute.
Have you heard about Neurospine Institute's movement therapy program? Based upon the traditional Chinese practice of Tai Chi, this therapeutic process can help you achieve a more balanced state of mind and body. Tai Chi is an ancient martial art that can be practiced for a variety of health benefits. It promotes effective healing, improved relaxation, and stronger resistance to illness or injury. Meditation and yoga classes are also available. Visit neurospinellc.org for the current schedule of movement therapy programs.
Are you living with chronic pain? The specialists at Neurospine Institute can diagnose the problem and develop a personalized treatment plan to address your symptoms. Their comprehensive services include clinical and surgical procedures, sports medicine, physical therapy, medical imaging, and pain management. Neurospine Institute's medical professionals will work closely with your primary care or referring physician to ensure that you receive the best care and treatment. They serve all of Western Oregon with 2 locations, the main campus in Eugene and their Roseburg Clinic. Visit neurospinellc.com today and get your life back.
An American tourist murdered in Israel. Taylor Force had served in the Army and was a Vanderbilt grad student on a trip to Israel. He was stabbed to death by an attacker last night in Tel Aviv. The attacker also wounded at least 9 others before police shot and killed him. It happened near where Vice President Biden was visiting last night.
My condolences to Taylor's family and to all those who were victims of attacks yesterday and every day.
Biden also said today, the day after Iran boasted of a ballistic missile test, that if the Iranians violate terms of the nuclear deal, the U.S. will act. An American still missing in Iran is getting renewed attention from the White House, where Fox's John Decker is live.
9 years ago, retired FBI agent Robert Levinson disappeared during a trip to Kish Island in Iran. Today, the White House released a statement calling on Iran to provide assistance in his case, as agreed to as part of a prisoner exchange finalized earlier this year. The White House says that finding Levinson remains a top priority, and it will spare no effort to bring the 67-year-old back to his family. The Iranian government has long denied holding Levinson or even knowing where he is. 3 years ago, Levinson's family acknowledged the former FBI agent was working as a freelance spy for a CIA operation when he was taken hostage. Dave?
John, a manhunt ended outside the White House last night. The man accused of shooting and wounding a pastor in Idaho over the weekend, Kyle Odom, was captured after throwing stuff over the White House fence.
We are thankful for the safe apprehension of our son Kyle. As Kyle was not living with us, we are learning of his plans as they are being revealed by the police. We are truly thankful to God he is safe and no one else has been injured.
That's a statement from Odom's parents, read by the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho Police Chief Lee White. On Wall Street this morning, we are seeing some gains. The Dow is up 14 points and a little bit of a rebound from yesterday's decline. Price of oil has been rising today, too. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
KPNW, good morning. Welcome into a Wednesday. It is March 9th, 2016. Some rain today. Breezy conditions, 15 to 25 miles per hour. 60 for the high. Windy and wet tonight. Pretty much off and on throughout the rest of the week. Into the weekend. Right now, 44 degrees at 1120 KPNW. Tomorrow at this time, we'll be, entering into our third hour from Riverbend. It is our annual radiothon to benefit Children's Miracle Network. Riverbend style, Lane County style, local style. Money that you are going to be donating. You could possibly see in a couple of months, go up there into the NICU and see some of the equipment like the isolettes and some of the life-saving things that you'll learn about starting tomorrow. Because we talk about that. We talk to the people, the heroes that are in the rooms, and we talk to the families that benefit, even families many years after. And it is so fun. I mean, if you love kids, if you've had maybe one or two or three, the miracle of birth, sometimes, and really a lot of times, complicated, and the baby comes early and needs some pretty important, we'll just call it equipment, but some things that are here that they don't have to go to OHSU or have to go way, way out of, up to Portland. And so we need to kind of empower and let them do that for many years to come. So starting tomorrow, 6:05, we'll be doing it.
If you think that
Riverbend.
they have 44 beds up there, although they can go beyond that sometimes. Generally, they're almost at capacity. I mean, you think then, God, how many kids locally, little preemies and other kids that are born with a variety of difficulties? It's pretty heady. It really is, and it's on one hand, you're happy that it's there. On the other hand, it can be really gut-wrenching to go up there and see the parents that are just, they're hanging there with their baby who is just literally hanging on a thread to survive.
Fighting for life. And you
Absolutely.
sit there and you see the rooms that they're in, maybe half the size of the studio, in for weeks and months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the way that you want to start and that you dream and envision that you're going to start your baby's life. So,
So it's
Radiothon 2016 tomorrow.
Good stuff for a good cause, and we'll be doing news tomorrow like we always do, same time as usual, like we will be doing in just a matter of moments, where we'll be featuring these stories. Quite a press conference yesterday in Eastern Oregon dealing with the shooting of Lavoy Finicum as part of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge standoff. We're going to hear from the sheriff over there, and we'll be hearing from one of the defense lawyers for Ammon Bundy, who says this is pretty much a game changer. We'll also take a look at a bill signed by the governor dealing with small businesses in Oregon. We'll also take a look at our latest unemployment numbers here in Lane County, and as the saying goes, the numbers are good. Those stories and more are coming up, live and local, brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Burrito Amigos is a business rule breaker. In business courses, it's taught you can make a product cheap and fast, cheap and good, or good and fast, but you can't have it cheap, fast, and good. Burrito Amigos, therefore, is an outlier. You do get all three characteristics in any product at Burrito Amigos. How many burrito places can claim they put real, tender pieces of black Angus beef in their huge burritos and yet sell them for way under $10? And get them to you in just a couple of minutes. Take anything off the menu and it's the same. I'm a new convert to the Burrito Amigos shrimp burritos, and they're like something from what most people would consider to be a fancy sit-down restaurant. You've got to love a business that breaks the rule of three and then gives you friendly service as a bonus. That's one of the reasons why I'm one of Burrito Amigos' biggest fans. That, and they use 2 types of bacon in their bacon burritos. That's another business rule. You can't have it cheap, fast, and good with 2 types of bacon. Unless it's Burrito Amigos in Eugene and Springfield. They could be burrito unicorns.
When you take the train, there's no telling what adventures await you. But that didn't stop us from speculating. Okay, Ben, you tell me what you do aboard Amtrak Cascades. I tell you how your seemingly innocuous decisions ultimately alter the course of your entire existence. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, on the train, do you A, order food, or B, get a drink?
Get a drink.
Nice. Coffee or beer?
Beer me.
Ooh, someone catches your eye. Say hello or find your seat?
Say hello.
She's a Beaver fan. I noticed you're wearing a duck hat.
Ugh.
Deal breaker or get her number?
Yeah, sure, get her number.
You get her digits. After 6 months of dating, you adopt a rescue dog and you name her Pork Chop. And 4 months later, you propose on the jumbo screen at the Civil War. She spills her drink on you. Boo. But says yes. Yay.
Whoa.
Yeah, want to know your kids' names? Amtrak Cascades. See what happens from Eugene to Portland for less than $20 one way. Start your adventure at Amtrak.com/see what happens. Restrictions may apply.
You'll hear it here first. This is your wake-up call on News Radio 1120. KPNW.
Good morning. Let's look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. New details about the investigation into the fatal officer-involved shooting of Lavoy Finicum during the arrest of militia members January 26th. They say 6 shots were fired by Oregon State Police troopers and 2 by the FBI. Those 2 shots will be discussed more in just a moment. All of the OSP shots were determined to be justified. Deschutes County Sheriff Shane Nelson says that when Finicum was shot, he had tried to reach for a gun under his coat twice without officers firing their guns. They repeated commands that he get on the ground.
In the midst of that command, Mr. Finicum grabs his jacket with his left hand and again reaches with his right hand into the area of his jacket where his gun was found.
Video from inside the truck was being recorded by Shauna Cox, where Finicum is heard telling police to shoot him.
Stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down. Damn it, are they shooting him?
A photo was released of the loaded gun that was under Finicum's jacket. A separate investigation, though, is also underway.
Of particular concern to all of us is that the FBI HRT operators did not disclose their shots to our investigators.
The discovery was made after investigators couldn't account for extra rounds not fired by Oregon State police officers that hit inside the truck.
The failure by HRT operators to disclose that they fired shots during this contact and actions they took after the shooting are the subject of an ongoing investigation.
Now, no one was hit by those shots, but a federal inquiry is underway into the agent's actions. The DA and the sheriff's office are also still investigating. As the DA made clear yesterday, they are going to be investigating for Oregon laws that have been broken. Well, the discovery that the FBI covered up their part in the shooting of Lavoy Finicum, not once but twice, shocked the defense team and energized the defense team for Ammon Bundy.
I was literally floored when I heard that. I found it unbelievable. I found it shocking, and I was just in disbelief.
After the surrender of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge by Ammon Bundy and his group, attorney Mike Arnold had asked for Bundy or his representatives to be present during the collection of evidence, and they were refused by the court.
Well, this calls into question everything. When you have the government investigating government protesters, and then those investigators covering up what they did in the investigation, and then you have the government investigating the cover-up of the folks in the government, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, this is just unfathomable.
And today, Bundy is scheduled in court for what is soon to become a rather ironic hearing.
We're going to be talking about a protective order that was requested by the government. They want to keep all police reports, discovery, everything secret. They don't want our client to be able to release that information to the public. Apparently, as we learned today, the federal government only wants to release things that they pick and choose.
Regardless of how the FBI cover-up investigation proceeds, it is changing quickly the tenor of the defense.
The next thing I have to do is go back and look at all my emails and phone calls from what I consider to be conspiracy theories from supporters of my client when they were claiming FBI cover-ups and FBI misconduct, and I'm going to have to go back and look at that over again with a different perspective now.
So far, Bundy et al. Have been charged with a single count of conspiracy conspiracy, but more charges are expected to be leveled within the month. Lane County's unemployment rate took another dip, this time into territory not seen in 9 years, according to numbers released yesterday. Lane County's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate was 5%. It's the lowest it's been since 2007. Last January, it was 6.3%, according to Brian Rooney, Employment Department economist. This is the best time to try and find a job since the recession. Manufacturing added 400 jobs during the period, healthcare 600, but business and professional services led the way, adding 1,600 jobs. Rooney says he expects moderate job growth in the coming months. The city of Eugene has agreed to pay $215,000 to one of its first police oversight officials. That's to settle a lengthy legal battle surrounding her firing 6 years ago. The city will pay former Deputy Police Auditor Dawn Reynolds $80,000 for economic damages and lost wages, over $63,000 to cover non-economic losses she claimed to have suffered, and over $71,000 in attorney fees. City officials say they settled state and federal suits brought by Reynolds to avoid the risk of possible adverse verdicts and to avoid the cost of preparing for the trials. Neither side is admitting to any wrongdoing. Mark Gissner fired Reynolds in 2010, shortly after he was hired to be the police auditor, and less than a year after he was hired to lead the city police auditor's office. Gissner claimed he fired Reynolds because she exercised poor judgment and was insubordinate. Oregon Governor Kate Brown has signed a bill that supports small businesses across Oregon. Brad Ford says Oregon has been called a superior bet for investors.
Bloomberg reports that Oregon has the best performing economy in the country, and Governor Brown says Oregon entrepreneurs and investors help foster an economy that encourages growth and attracts talent.
When it came to employment, personal income, and the equity of its publicly traded companies, little old Oregon is leading the pack.
The Small Business Advisory Cabinet talked about how small businesses can grow. There are three main issues:
access to capital, the state's role in promoting entrepreneurship, and third, regulatory challenges that are specific to small businesses.
Brown's hoping the cabinet will bring recommendations by mid-October so the ideas can be considered for the 2017 legislative session. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
Governor Kate Brown has officially placed herself in the running for Oregon's gubernatorial election. Now, that may seem surprising to you, but yesterday was the deadline to file if a candidate wanted to run for statewide office. She didn't file until yesterday, just a couple of hours before the deadline. The former Secretary of State, if you recall, took over from John Kitzhaber after he stepped down amid an influence peddling scandal. Brown will be facing four little-known Democratic rivals in the May 17th primary. One independent and four Republicans are running for the position. The GOP candidates include Bud Pierce, an oncologist from Salem. Also, a failed former Oregon Republican Party chairman, Alan Alley. Oregonians haven't elected a GOP governor since 1982, and no Republican has taken a statewide race since 2002. In local Lane County races, Republican Joe Patwara filed yesterday to take on Democrat incumbent Representative Phil Barnhart for District 11. No new competitors filed for vacated House Seat 14, which was formerly held by Val Hoyle. She, by the way, is running, of course, for Secretary of State. Democrats Julie Fahey and James Manning are vying to face off with either Republican Aaron Cluett or Kathy Lamberg in the fall for Hoyle's old seat. In other races, Art Robinson has yet again decided to run against Congressman Peter DeFazio in the 4th Congressional District, although this time he'll have to get past Republican challenger Joe Ray Perkins, who also wants the privilege of running against DeFazio. As for the primary, for the first time in many years, DeFazio will be challenged by a Democrat, car leasing business owner Joseph McKinney. Well, after years of gains, a wave of incumbent departures for the 2016 elections is threatening to erode Democratic strength in the Oregon legislature. The extent of the vacancies came into focus yesterday when 10 of the 35 Democrats in the House decided not to run in the May primary The surprisingly high number calls into question whether Democrats are going to be able to repeat the wins of recent years or whether they're going to find themselves on the defensive. Of the 10 not seeking re-election, 4 represent swing districts in Washington, Clackamas, and Marion counties that are critical in determining the partisan makeup of the House. If the Republicans win all 4, which would be a worst-case scenario for the Democrats, it would bring the chamber 1 vote from a tie. The heightened competition could, at the very least, make it more difficult for Democrats to pick off a 36th seat and secure a 3/5 supermajority, a win that would give them power to raise taxes without a single Republican vote, something the Democratic Party covets. Well, if you get a call from the Oregon State Treasurer demanding that you pay back taxes, ignore it. Brad Ford says it's a scam.
The Oregon State Treasurer's Office has received several calls saying the person claimed to be from the State Treasurer's Office and demanded that they owe taxes and need to pay up immediately. The first tip: this is a scam. The State Treasurer doesn't collect taxes. That's the Oregon Department of Revenue. This is similar to a scam where callers pretended to be from the IRS. You can hang up on the caller. It's fake. You wouldn't be contacted over the phone by the Oregon Department of Revenue or the IRS. Brad Ford, KPNW.
Less than 6 months after the worst mass shooting in state history, Oregon lawmakers faced a $17.6 million decision. During the short February session, lawmakers did approve $6 million for Umpqua Community College to renovate Snyder Hall, where 9 students were shot and killed, and improve the school's safety and security measures following the October 1st massacre. But a separate $17.6 million request to replace doors, add security cameras, and just beef up aging buildings and communication systems at the 16 other community colleges went nowhere. Oregon State University is launching a new immunization policy, they say, to decrease the likelihood that students will contract a serious illness while attending the university. Starting spring term, students are going to be required to be immunized for chicken pox and also get Tdap vaccinations, as well as a vaccination for Hep B. Current students who entered the university prior to spring term are not going to be required to show proof of those immunizations. And, of course, e-campus students who are not physically attending OSU are exempt. OSU health officials also recommend, but they're not requiring, vaccination with a meningococcal B-type vaccine, especially for students under the age of 25 who live in residence halls, frats, and sororities. That's the strain of bacteria that caused a meningitis outbreak during the winter term last year at the U of O, and which incidentally causes about 38% of the cases of meningococcus in the state. Students can get the 2-dose meningococcal type B vaccine at their local student health services, but it's going to cost $145 a dose. Some of that may be covered by insurance. All right, and finally, the bigger the fish, the more fun they are to catch. Brad Ford says that's why more trophy trout are going to be headed to certain Oregon lakes.
The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife wants to energize trout fishing at 5 lakes in Oregon by stocking trophy-sized trout.
Hopefully it will generate a little excitement about these fisheries.
Rick Swart says those trout weigh between 1 and 3 pounds. They're stocking those fish over the next 3 months. They're going in Garrison Lake, Trojan Pond, Willow Creek Reservoir, Timothy Lake, and Phillips Reservoir.
It's something that we plan to expand on next year.
The Trophy Trout Program was established under a directive from last year's legislative session led by Representative Greg Smith from Heppner. Brad Ford, KPNW.
This look at the news, live and local, brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. You're up to date from KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Pac-12 men's basketball tournament gets underway in a few hours from Las Vegas. 9-seeded Stanford will play an 8-seed Washington at noon for a chance to play our Ducks, number 1 seed, tomorrow at noon. Other matchups today, Wazoo tries to hang with Colorado. UCLA and USC play each other, with Oregon State getting the nightcap against 11-seeded Arizona State, 11:30 or 8:30 or thereabouts. Sophomore forward Dylan Brooks named the U.S. Basketball Writers Association District 9. Sounds so cool. Player of the Year. Coach Dana Altman, the Coach of the Year in the district, which covers California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, Arizona, and Alaska. At the West Coast Conference Tournament, also in Vegas, Gonzaga grabbed another title, beating St. Mary's 85-75. With the win, Zags get their 18th straight NC2A tournament berth. Might not have happened without the championship. 6A girls basketball in the quarterfinals tonight. Number 6 seed Sheldon faces number 3 Tigard in Portland. Tomorrow night, two-time defending state champ 4A Sutherland with Casey Mock plays number 2 seeded Banks. Go Bulldogs. NBA Portland Trailblazers took out the Washington Wizards in OT 116-109. Damian Lillard continued his tear with a resounding 41-point performance. Gerald Henderson with a timely block, and C.J. McCollum tied the game up with 5.4 seconds left. Wake Up Call Sports on KPNW, brought to you by Max Muscle, the authority in sports nutrition since 1991, across Franklin Boulevard in Eugene, from Market of Choice. News time 8:25.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out in the next few minutes, we've got light to moderate showers off and on out there as a warm front spreading over the area. Temps right now are in the mid to low 40s with light winds out of the south at 5 to 10 under mostly cloudy skies. Now this afternoon will actually stay fairly dry as the warm front will lift to the north up into Washington State. The storm system itself won't arrive until late this evening into the overnight hours. Now we will see mostly cloudy skies this afternoon with highs in the mid 50s. Winds will pick up out of the south at 15 to 20. Some gusts could be as high as 30. And we could see a few isolated showers developing after 10 p.m., maybe even a thunderstorm. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
This winter, we received more rainfall than in the past 75 years. Severe weather can cause damage to your home's foundation. Ramjack can fix that. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com.
CCB 146906. Max Muscle Sports Nutrition is more than a nutrition store. Tom here at Max Muscle. If you want to make changes to your overall health, lose weight, build muscle, or if you just want to feel better, stop by, talk to a certified nutritionist. Max Muscle, Franklin Boulevard, across from the Market of Choice.
Sherry's invented Free Pie Wednesday because, well, we love pie. Sweet Montana cherry, Oregon Marionberry made with Northwest fruit, chocolate cream supreme, sour cream lemon pie made with real whipped cream, s'mores galore, and many more. That's why we've won over 25 gold medals at the National Pie Championships. Enjoy a free slice of your favorite Sherry's pie with dinner tonight from 4 to 10 at Sherry's Cafe and Pies.
Get set to save now at your local Kubota dealer. Take command of your lawn care tasks with a new Kubota Commander zero-turn mower. Get commercial-grade performance and a full 4-year factory warranty at a price you can afford. Now, during the Get Set to Save sales event, get special introductory pricing of $38.99 and 0 down and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Now through March 31st, 2016. Call toll-free 1-888-465-8268 for details about cost and terms. See Mid-Valley Tractor on Highway 99. Great prices, great products from people you can trust.
We asked kids what it took to be a dad. This is what they had to say.
A father is always present. I mean, what real father figure can you have if they're not there?
In order to be a good dad, you need to love your son. You need to put gas in your car so you don't break down in the middle of nowhere. And you need to make them breakfast. Yep.
I mean, just to maybe play like a board game with me, or to just stay home and play some video games with me. Just to do like that one little thing is what I really look forward to.
I'm not asking him to be a perfect dad, but he should try. He's just a constant force in my life.
There's no other type of love like a dad's love because it's not comparable to anything else.
Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
On the list of things that are sexy to go shop for the home, a new bed, maybe trumped by, countertops for the kitchen or couches or love seats. Heck, maybe even blinds for some people. But maybe you haven't been to Sleep Train because bedding in 2016 is remarkably different than from when maybe you went the last time to replace the mattress. And the people, I think the people trump the selection. Awesome people that know their product. Go take a test lay and kind of, even if you're not in the market, just kind of go see what it's like. Sleep Train, it's an event. And, well, the Triple Choice Sale is the event going on right now. We're talking about three choices. Save up to $300 on Beauty Rest and Posturepedic mattress sets, or $300 in free sleep essentials with any Tempur-Pedic, or how about 4 years interest-free financing on Beauty Rest Black Hybrid? That is the Sleep Train Luxury exclusive. On approved credit with up to 48 equal monthly payments required, plus save hundreds on Tempur-Pedic Breeze floor models. Hurry in, because there's a bunch of stuff going on at Sleep Train that you're missing out on if you nap.
Yeah, so you need to rock and roll and get in to Sleep Train. Sleep Train's all over the place. You're going to find them in Eugene and Springfield and Albany and Corvallis, and it seems like everywhere else. Go check them out. Sleep Train, and tell them Bill and Rob from the Wake Up Call sent you, please.
The Wake Up Call with Holloway and London on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Yesterday,
8:30 on the dot.
all my troubles seem so far away. Eleanor Rigby.
News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Church where a wedding is.
Might have seen that Sir George Martin has died at the age of 90. They called him the fifth Beatle, and I think a lot of people maybe didn't know the story about the significance of that title and the fact that, well, without him, there wouldn't have been any Beatles. He was the one who discovered and signed them, and then kind of tweaked the music a little bit. I mean, you know how you have 3D glasses and you see how different a movie looks when you take the glasses off? How remarkably different would the Beatles have sounded without his vision? I mean, he really was ahead of his time with his tempo changes, his orchestral music.
Well, you could...
the musical enhancements that he came up with were ahead of his time. And
you know, producers don't always get, I think, the credit that they should for a lot of the artists that they handle. I mean, obviously, he with the Beatles, in later years, most definitely getting a lot of props, as he should. But, you know, the producers, I mean, they do, I mean, let's be honest here. Were it not for Rick Rubin, Johnny Cash would not have been nearly as popular as he was the last 15, 16 years of his life with those American recordings. I mean, Rick Rubin, I mean, what he did as far as producing those CDs, those albums, those pieces was brilliant. And the way that he worked with Johnny. I mean, because Johnny was, you know, kind of on that slide. And so he owed a lot to him, and it just goes to show you the strength of what a good producer can do, you know, in crafting talent and putting a vision behind them and a cohesiveness. And God, Martin was brilliant at that with the Beatles.
he came across them early, and kind of, you know, saw the potential. Except for Pete Best. I mean, it was his recommendation that they come up with some studio drummer, Ringo, and they trusted him. I mean, you can see, if you go back and you look at the library, you can see what the different sound was when they didn't have him working with them in the studio, and it's remarkably different. So George Martin died at the age of 90 years of age. What a life. And boy, have you seen who I knew he worked with, you know, some of the heavyweights, but I mean, his list is Sting, Kate Bush, Peter Gabriel. He just worked with a ton of people. Just quite the career and quite the visionary, and the fifth Beatle. God, it'll be interesting. I haven't done, I'm curious what, you know, because a lot of times you you get accepted, boom, you're signed, and you're so kind of awestruck with the industry and the fact that, you know, somebody took a chance on you that you're like, yeah, whatever. But later, as they kind of started getting their chops, I'm really curious what what their relationship and what their relationship was like towards the end. I mean,
I don't know. This is one of those days that I wish Phil still worked here. Because Phil was the ultimate. We used to have this sales rep that was just like the musical encyclopedia of everything the Beatles ever did. That and the Beach Boys and a couple of other kind of key groups. And he would have been the person, unfortunately, he's not here anymore because he retired, but he would have been the person to answer those questions.
Still with us, just not with us.
I think that, from what at least I've read about that whole relationship is that, in particular, I mean, he and Lennon were pretty tight.
Yeah.
And he got along really well with Lennon because Lennon was willing to just take random stuff and throw it against the wall to see what stuck. And that was something George could work with because he could kind of help find a vision for that quality of creativity. So, it's expected. He was old and had a great career, but,
I think it's pretty telling that when somebody asked John Lennon what, if you could go back with the stuff that he didn't work with you on, what would you change that? And he said, I would redo everything. I would want him and his touch on everything. So I think they were pretty aware of the brilliance and just happened to luck out and have the guy who signed him be just a genius of a producer. 8:36, 24 away from 9 o'clock. Don't forget, Radiothon Thursday, Friday, auction Saturday morning. 8 o'clock, we kick in on this radio station, 1120 KPNW, and you can listen online. You can listen to the auction if you are going to be somewhere where maybe radio might be difficult. You can listen online and get an advance kind of perusal, an overview, as it were, of everything that we're going to be talking about and auctioning off pennies on the dollar. Basically, you're going to save a bunch of money and knock out some shopping potentially. Heck, depending upon the expiration dates, for maybe even for Christmas. It's coming up Saturday morning. KPNW.com info on how to be a VIP. And like I said, everything that we're talking about and covering, practically giving away Saturday morning right here. KPNW.com, 837.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. It's a date of note on Wall Street as the bull market enters its 8th year. The Dow up 22 points, the Nasdaq up 7, and the S&P up 6 on this 7th anniversary of the bull market. On this date in 2009, Wall Street started its climb from its recession low. The S&P has tripled since then. Stocks have paired early gains. Bank and consumer shares are lagging as investors wonder whether stimulus efforts from central banks will be enough to boost global growth. A record 140 million passengers will take to the skies over the U.S. this spring. The industry group Airlines for America says relatively affordable fares and available flights are fueling the boom. Mobile payments are big. Now big banks want more of that action. Banks are making it easier to instantly transfer cash from your account to somebody else's using a smartphone. It would come in handy, say, when splitting a dinner check. Reuters reports the system is called Clear Exchange. I'm Adrienne Mitchell, Bloomberg Radio.
Spend an evening with James Taylor and his all-star band. The American icon is back on tour. Friday, July 15th, Matthew Knight Arena.
Whenever I see your smiling face, I have to smile.
The multiple Grammy Award-winning James Taylor. And a night full of his biggest hits.
I've seen fire and I've seen rain. And I'll be there, yeah. You've got a friend.
James Taylor. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at MatthewKnightArena.com. Friday, July 15th, Matthew Knight Arena. Spend the night with a friend. James Taylor. A Beaver production.
Spring arrives at the Lane County Home and Garden Show. Meet the experts, woodworkers, landscapers, designers, remodelers, and builders. Remodel it now. Learn about projects with wow. Style inside and out, aging in place, insider secrets, budget-friendly remodels, selecting great materials, and creating beautiful kitchens. Remodel or time to build new. Create your dream home with all the experts at the Big Spring Show. Come see what's new March 10th through the 13th at the fairgrounds. Admission is free. EugeneHomeshow.com. At this week's show, discover what's new for your home and yard. See more decking materials, innovative appliances, countertop trends, custom cabinetry, grills, and outdoor kitchens. See the very latest in heat systems and plumbing fixtures. Shop and compare over 3 acres of exhibits. Meet the experts with the solutions. Plan your visit around the free home and garden seminars. Online at EugeneHomeshow.com. American Family Insurance is the official show sponsor of this week's Big Spring Show.
Pacific Continental Bank is proud to call the Eugene Springfield area home for more than 40 years. As your local banker, partner, and neighbor, we are committed to the health and sustainability of your business and our community. We know it takes more than a loan or deposit to help you succeed. It takes people who know you, your business, and your community. Who says we can't be more than a bank? Pacific Continental Bank, the right bank. Learn more at therightbank.com. Member FDIC.
They put their lives on the line for you, and now you can help them. The Oregon Paralyzed Veterans of America needs volunteers. As a volunteer, you can help out at events throughout the year, whether it's manning a booth at a fair or helping with sporting or recreation activities for the vets. You can even just answer phones. The OPVA assists vets who are paralyzed or dealing with other mobility impairments. To volunteer or donate, call 503-362-7998, 503-362-7998, or visit OregonPVA.org.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, you're already out and about. We've got light to moderate showers as a warm front's moving through the area. That means temps right now are in the mid to low 40s. Not that bad, but a little wet. Winds out of the south at 5 to 10 and under mostly cloudy skies. This afternoon will actually stay fairly dry as the warm front will lift to the north and the cold front won't arrive till later tonight. That means mostly cloudy skies will continue. Highs look to be in the mid-50s out there to upper 50s. Winds will pick up in the afternoon out of the south at 15 to 20 with extremely strong winds along the coastal cities. We could see winds there of 30 to 40 miles an hour with gusts up to 50. And we've got a storm warning out over the water for this storm system pushing through the night. Storms will be back by 10 o'clock tonight, maybe even a couple of claps of thunder. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is my profound pleasure to introduce
The Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
News Radio 1120 KPNW. Well, if you've been listening to the Wake Up Call for the last couple of weeks, or you listen to the station on a regular basis, you have heard the name Pacific Continental Bank. Pacific Continental has kind of picked up and started sponsoring the market minutes, which is a great thing for a bank to do. And we thought, you know what? It would be nice to find out a little bit about the folks that you're hearing about on the radio on a regular basis. So what we did was we went out and we invited the president of the Greater Eugene market. She snickers over here. See, I could have just said, oh, she's just the president of Pacific Continental Bank, and you wouldn't have gone back and said, look, Bill, it's only the Eugene. But anyway, she's the president of Pacific Continental. Denise Gazelle joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning.
Well, thank you for inviting me to come along.
Yeah. Well, so how do you end up becoming just the president for a bank?
The president of the Greater Eugene market?
Yeah.
You become that by way of hard work and long-term dedication. I've been there for 26 years.
Any fist fighting?
No fist fighting. Everybody's on board with the plan, so it feels good.
Yeah. Got a good team?
I have an amazing team. We have about roughly 100 bankers in this community that help to support our business owners and our nonprofit sector as well as our professional community. So wonderful, fabulous team across all departments.
So for folks that are not familiar with Pacific Continental Bank, bank is a bank, right or wrong?
Well, a bank is a bank. There are some differences. I can maybe do a quick history lesson on Pacific Continental Bank. We started in 1972 in this community and really was launched by 5 local businessmen at the time who believed that there was a lot of opportunity to help better serve the local business community. So we are truly a business bank or commercial bank. And so they decided to launch that bank in 72. We operated out of one location over on campus for about 13 years, and in 1985 we moved to a location we currently still operate out of, a High Street office. So have been there since. In 1992 we decided to go ahead and open our second location after many, many years, and that's our Coburg Road location, of which we still operate out of. So today we've grown to about 15 offices over 3 large metropolitan areas, the Greater Eugene market, the Greater Portland market, as well as the Greater Seattle market. And we're pushing about $2 billion at this size at this time. So our roots are still here, our families are still here, our communities are still here. So we're proud to say we're still headquartered
Well,
here
what a
in
success
Eugene.
story. It started right here in Eugene.
Started here in Eugene, remains very committed to the community here in Eugene, and but continue to look to expand and grow.
What? Go ahead.
I was going to say, as a commercial bank, that's why you don't walk up to the bank there and go, well, there's no ATM. Is that the big reason for that?
Well, that is part of the reason, yes, although there are certainly many other avenues in which people are choosing to bank today. We really employ a model of relationship banking, which really is about understanding what it is our clients are in need of and how they want to operate on a daily basis. So, they will choose to either utilize online banking, perhaps, or utilize remote deposit capture. What we find is really the majority of our business owners and managers still want to come into the office and meet eyeball to eyeball with our bankers and transact business on a daily basis.
In radio, we call it P1, which is kind of like the core, ideal client. Do you have an ideal client? Is there somebody that you really target?
I've been with the bank for a long period of time, and I've worked all areas within the bank, and most of my career has been on the commercial lending side. So I preface that this answer with that information because in my mind, from my perspective, the ideal client for Pacific Continental Bank is one who is truly interested in a partnership, who is interested in having ongoing discussions and wants to better understand the perspective from the bank, but that also the banker is really looking to understand the perspective from the client. Now, we do have specific niches that we like to focus on, and that's our professional sector, our nonprofit community, as well as our community-based businesses, which are those that we want to sit down and meet with the decision makers.
Why non-profs?
Well, if you think about nonprofits relative to this community and really the economic engine that they are very mission driven, and they wish to serve that mission on a regular ongoing basis, but they also are recipients of large grants and other donations, so they're bringing a lot of dollar volume into the marketplace, and as a result they also very much align with Pacific Continental Bank's mission and philosophy of giving back and serving the community.
Do you have any favorites?
I have a lot of favorites nonprofits. Yes, I do.
I imagine working and having that intimate, relationship with them, you probably get involved with a couple.
I do sit on several boards. I have over the years. Currently, I sit on the United Way of Lane County, so of course they are here to serve as a liaison between all nonprofits in this market. But I have several other very, very good, solid favorites of mine.
Yeah.
But you're not going to talk about them.
I'd be happy to. Looking Glass is also one that's very much a favorite of mine, as well as Shelter Care, and then Children's Miracle Network, as well as March of Dimes. All of them do great work in this community.
Let's kind of changing the subject here a little bit. As a bank that deals with local area businesses, obviously the recession was quite a challenge for a lot of businesses. As you kind of take a look at, the current situation and what the future may bring, you bullish, you bearish, or are you kind of sitting there on the fence going, I'm not completely convinced we've turned around yet? Where do you kind of look at the economy is going?
If you would have asked me that a year ago, I would have been a little bit more on the fence. Today, I do feel as though there are several indicators that speak to or point to continued strong economy in this marketplace. So if you think about the construction activity, for example, currently going on with Whole Foods and the hotel at Oakway and the multifamily housing boom that kind of happens and continues to happen around the university area. That's a lot of strong activity. In addition, we know there are a few senior complexes that are in the works in this community. So that construction component drives the economic engine within our marketplace, because those builders come in to help support that activity, of which then they're enlisting the local trades. So that's very, very strong. If you think about also housing inventory is currently low,
really low,
which is very low, and so that's driving a lot of new construction starts, which is also very positive for our marketplace. Not all consumers like to hear that fuel prices are on the rise, because that doesn't necessarily help them in their daily budgeting or monthly budgeting, but it is a good sign for the economy, so that's also another indicator that is feeling good.
You're the president. You can look in the future and probably have a great crystal ball or two, thinking about what's coming our way when it comes to banks, for people that maybe have, maybe they're a member of a bank, but as far as you seeing trends and seeing things coming down the pike, what's at the end of the tunnel? What do we have to look forward to?
Well, that is a great question, and one that I'll tell you, I think part of the challenges for financial institutions today is to remain very diligent in their approach towards protecting consumer and business private information, sensitive information. A lot of that in Pacific Continental Bank is that we're helping our business owners educate their employee base to hold that information carefully. I would say, thinking down the road and understanding that we are a true commercial or business bank, we operate with the business community primarily. So thinking about what it is this next generation is going to want from a banking partnership in the next 5 or 10 years is important. So that's something that we have taken on. We've got a chief banking officer who's responsible to really understand what that all means going forward.
All right. Denise, we appreciate you joining us on the Wake Up Call. She is the president of the Eugene area banks of Pacific Continental.
Do you have that in small fonts on your card?
No, I do not. It's
President, huge.
No. No.
You need to think about that then.
All right. Well, thank you for that advice.
It's just a personal marketing tool that we're passing along to you.
I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Anyway, thanks for being a supporter of the Wake Up Call and the radio station. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
By the way, before we get out of here, I don't mind giving this traffic warning. US 20, milepost 79, 2 miles west of the summit. They have an ice warning, so use caution. That just came across. So if you have to travel eastward, just be careful out there. And that's going to do it for us. When we talk again, we're going to be hanging out at Riverbend, kicking off day 1 of Radiothon. And like we say, if you can't, maybe find it in your heart and in your pocketbook to donate, maybe find some people and throw it out there on social media, and you might be able to be responsible for even a bigger donation for CMN. Tomorrow, we'll do it live right here on 1120 KPNW.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call,
the one means no matter what the problem.
From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7.
Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. So our highly skilled technicians will ready your house for any season.
Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort, the one to call.
Sherry's invented Free Pie Wednesday because, well, we love pie. Sweet Montana cherry, Oregon Marionberry made with Northwest fruit, chocolate cream supreme, sour cream lemon pie made with real whipped cream, s'mores galore, and many more. That's why we've won over 25 gold medals at the National Pie Championships. Enjoy a free slice of your favorite Sherry's pie with dinner tonight from 4 to 10 at Sherry's Cafe and Pies.
Are you dying to get away from it all? Well, stop by Three Rivers Casino Resort because we can make your getaway dreams a reality. Now through April 16th, you can earn entries to win a dream vacation in our Choose Your Cruise giveaway. Cruise winners will be drawn every hour from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, April 16th. And while you try for one cruise, we have another cruise coming your way. That's right, this March at Three Rivers Casino Resort, we will be hosting the world-famous 70s and 80s pop rock phenomenon, Pablo Cruz. They'll be playing their greatest hits in Florence, March 25th and March 26th. Tickets are $19.99 and $24.99, and they're going fast. So reserve your seats now. Visit threeriverscasino.com for more details. We're in cruise control at Three Rivers Casino Resort because things are luckier here.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is my profound pleasure to introduce
The Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely free, with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-900-4116. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now, 1-800-900-4116. That's 1-800-900-4116. 1-800-900-4116.
Hi, this is Flint, Catering Director at Westaurant Catering. At Westaurant Catering, name the occasion. From rehearsal dinners, wedding receptions, business events, and holiday parties, to reunions, team celebrations, and more. Whatever the event, Westaurant Catering offers up tasty cuisine from all of its restaurants, including Mucho Gusto Mexican Kitchen, Bill and Tim's Barbecue, Dickie Joe's Burgers, and Dickie Yo's Frozen Treats. Got a last-minute event that's just days away or less? We specialize in catering last-minute events and meetings. You need to be able to rely on your caterer. With Westaurant Catering, you get experience and quality you can trust. Call me, Flint Livingston, today to find out how we can serve you. 541-954-6303. Again, 541-954-6303. Westaurant Catering, trusted in food and service.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out in the next few minutes, we've got light to moderate showers off and on out there. There's a warm front spreading over the area. Temps right now are in the mid to low 40s with light winds out of the south at 5 to 10 under mostly cloudy skies. Now this afternoon will actually stay fairly dry as the warm front will lift to the north up into Washington state. The storm system itself won't arrive until late this evening into the overnight hours. Now we will see mostly cloudy skies this afternoon with highs in the mid-50s. Winds will pick up out of the south at 15 to 20. Some gusts could be as high as 30. And we could see a few isolated showers developing after 10 p.m., maybe even a thunderstorm. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
Stocks are dancing along with oil. The Dow up 72 points, the Nasdaq up 19, and the S&P up 11. Crude futures are up more than 4% to just over $38 a barrel. If you fly coach on United, you may